Hey, Joe. Thanks a lot for taking the time to talk with me today. Reason for our conversation, you and I have been going back and forth over the past couple weeks, really watching over coronavirus, much like everybody else across the world. But with this, we're starting to see a lot of developments happen very quickly, especially in the US as companies are starting to shut down, schools are starting to send children home. And in particular, we're seeing a lot of questions come in around remote access. In particular, how do I get a workforce that normally is in an office? How do I send them home so that they can work out of their house? And that's what I want to talk with you a little bit about today. So before we start, Joe, you and I, we've worked together for a while, but tell me a little bit about what you do at Idaptive.
Yeah, great. Good talking to you too, Brian. And it's an exciting job to help enterprises implement identity solutions, essentially, and that comprises anything from single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, uh, provisioning, lifecycle management, controlling the endpoints and mobile devices, computers that they use to do their jobs. In this environment, it's extra interesting because what was already a pretty pressing issue for folks has become kind of like board level priority. So it's really upped the urgency to figure out something, certainly in the short term, but it also bleeds into a lot of companies' long term strategy to just ensure better productivity and access to the employees. So it's an exciting time to be in this space, as you know, but that's in a nutshell what I do.
Okay, very nice. So I guess what we're really looking to talk about here today is with regards to the problem of how do you quickly spin up a work from home strategy? Because this is where we're seeing a lot of the companies struggle out there. And in particular at Adaptive, you're dealing with a massive explosion of app diversity out in the marketplace, right? People are bringing in new apps that solve, I don't know, every little problem known to man. And as part of that, what your customers look at are saying, hey, how can you make it easier for employees, partners, customers to access their apps? And then how do you do it so they can get to those apps they need and do it securely? So with that, let's talk a little bit about the plan and how companies can make this easy. In particular, what I want to ask is, where do you see clients struggle with such a diverse app environment?
Yeah, I think even talking about it in terms of apps is what it's about, but it makes it seem like, apps on your phone. I think it's really broader, like how do you enable people to do their job regardless of where they're located? Specifically, if they're not within the corporate network inside the firewall, and exposed to all kinds of outside potential security threats. How do you still deliver? You and I live in Salesforce. That's an easy one. It's already a cloud application. It's already got a lot of security protocols wrapped around it. But when your company, lives in maybe a home baked web application or an application that resides on the corporate network, it's a much bigger challenge to extend that beyond the network and allow access for people that might have to work from home, like we're seeing so much of these days. So really, it's just a matter of applying, some kind of a connection into the network from a remote location, but something more robust than a VPN, that still allows the same level of granularity and administrative controls as any cloud application. So the end user kind of has the same interaction and experience with that application as they might with Office 365 applications, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense because when you're looking at that, that's really about how do you have that true hybrid environment, right?
Yeah.
From an IT perspective, sure, there's a ton of great reasons to say, hey, I'm going to move my apps into the cloud, reduce on all these infrastructure costs. But as an employee, I personally don't care where the apps reside. I just want to do my job and get it done for the day and move on. So I think that's definitely where we see some of these changes that change around a lot of what we've traditionally done of just saying, hey, you know what, I'll just do, some simple RDP thing and you're running off the desktop, but it's not just a desktop environment. So I think that's kind of interesting. So with that said, I guess, what does the grand identity framework look like? I mean, what do IT professionals at the customer and partner level, what should they be looking to do? What's kind of that vision to move towards?
Yeah. Um, Easy T-ball question there. It's something that we bring up on almost every discussion. The simple answer is, basically three steps. You have to verify the user first and foremost. That is what the I in identity access management is all about. Are you the person you say you are? Is that password that's being used yours? And further, just really ensuring that it's the right person. And then secondly, you have to validate the device that they're coming on from, right? It's not compromised. It doesn't have some kind of a payload or a malicious, some kind of a backdoor, anything that could compromise the integrity of that access that's being granted. And then limiting the access both from a user basis, Joe should only be able to get a certain level of access to app A, while Joe's manager should obviously have, a greater degree of access. But also limiting access when Joe leaves the company. Does he still have access to his applications? If he's upset, can he do damage to the company after he's gone? So, revoking access, granting access, that's kind of the third one. So yeah, verify users, validate the devices, limit access. It's kind of the way we do it.
Totally makes sense. So that's really kind of your traditional zero trust approach then.
Yeah, exactly. It certainly is. It does, a huge part to achieve a zero trust framework that a lot of customers are really trying to achieve today. By no means simple, but it gets you there. It gets you a long way, I would say.
Yeah. Now, where does machine learning come into play with some of this?
Yeah, that's kind of Idaptive's bread and butter. We apply machine learning, analytics to all of the things I said before: MFA, SSO, the device that's being used, and just really collecting data on not on the person, but on the behavior as it pertains to the application. So it's not taking anything sensitive about the person, but it's just ensuring that the way somebody uses their applications and interacts with everything they need to do their job, that is basically aggregated and used to create a behavior profile for that person, so that when they exhibit behavior that's normal, there's no need to verify or add any extra security steps, because they're at a very deep level, authenticated. And secondly, it raises risk, raises the security when there's something unusual or anomalous in their behavior. If Brian is logging into his email from Chicago, and then in 10 minutes, from Dubai, that's impossible. So why present Brian with a password prompt or a second authentication if it's impossible that could be him? And in that case, another example of how machine learning and intelligence can really further refine the goal of managing and securing access.
No, I think that's really cool to kind of see where the technology has come, that we can now make really kind of go for that idea of continuous authentication, but then make access decisions based on risk. So if we're low risk, not asking you a bunch of additional MFA prompts. High risk, well, let's start to not lock things down. Now, when we kind of take a look from here, clearly the zero trust identity access management framework, I think that's the vision. That's where all companies want to get to. However, I 100% do not see that happening instantaneously today. It's probably going to take a little bit of time, some planning and effort. Probably not impossible by any means. But I think one of the questions that we're seeing right now is, hey, I have an immediate problem. I just sent my entire workforce home today, or I'm going to probably be sending them home next week as there's a greater threat to the environment around me. What really should companies be doing to take care of this work from home strategy right now today? What are the couple first couple easy steps, I guess, is what I'm really asking to get started.
Yeah. No, I mean, a lot of, like I say, it depends on the company. If you've got a lot of cloud apps already, wrap MFA around those. So that application is now secure if it's accessed, outside of the corporate network. If you don't, if it's a on-premise application or something, publish that to the same kind of a portal that an end user would interact with to achieve single sign-on from their phone or from their device, at home or something like that. So it just depends really on the company and really the bottlenecks or the barriers that are preventing them from doing that now. Those can vary a little bit, but in essence, yeah, it's just about consolidating everything that employees need and allowing them to do those tasks productively from any location. And so
Okay.
it is a little bit catered and custom to in terms of the needs of a given customer.
No, it makes a lot of sense. Get
Yeah.
the MFA wrapped up right away. That way we make sure I got the right person, the right individual logging into the applications, and then just kind of streamline things down a little bit. Get some of the single sign-on technologies out there, so users have just a simple, clean portal to log into. And I think what that really leads me to is when we talk about the simple, clean portal concept. What does the typical workday for Joe Hill look like out there as you're trying to do access into your various applications?
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty boring answer, but can I just show you my personal portal there?
Yeah, please do.
Okay, happy to. Let me just pull up. So back to our discussion about the analytics piece. If I were to try to log in right now, it would just let me in because I'm on a known device, exhibiting normal behavior, and I've already authenticated invisibly behind the scenes. So I'm going to pull up an incognito browser, if you can see that. And, now it prompts me for my information. I type in my password, and I got a pretty picture custom to our company in the background there. I'm going to choose a YubiKey. It's a device on my machine here that really is just the easiest way to get in here. Don't have to pull out the phone or anything like that. And then you have the whole portal here, so I can adjust and change my password and enroll new devices that would be used for authenticating in the future or being able to access these apps. Here's my single sign-on portal, though. All the applications I typically use. I certainly don't use all of these on a regular basis, but some of these are on-prem. Some of these are my own personal applications that I've published to this portal, and then some of them are company issued. But all in one place, it looks the same if I hop on from my wife's Windows computer or from my mobile phone. Everything's right here, and I can interact with whatever apps I need to do my job. It doesn't matter where I am.
Oh, very nice. No, I like it. Nice, simple, clean, easy. Click and you're in. I mean, you can't really ask for much more than that.
Yeah, no, it's very straightforward, and people love it when their staff are, I would maybe less technical, when you don't want to train somebody how to use a VPN or something like that. This is a much easier way to achieve that remote access.
All right. Well, very nice. Well, thank you, Joe, for taking the time to speak with me today. Hopefully, those that are listening found it this to be rather enlightening, and then seeing a new concept of making access to applications simple and secure.
Yeah, it's definitely Reader's Digest level. It gets a lot more exciting when you want to nerd out about it, but no, it's an exciting time, like I say, to be in this industry, and I'm sure it's only going to get more wild as time goes on. So,
Well,
time too, Brian.
there you go. Keep on keeping on. Thanks, Joe.
You too,
Take
man.
care.